Welcome to this Price a Job tutorial. In this video, we will continue our exploration of the exterior finishes category by taking a closer look at the cement rendering module, including through color and Drydash. Let's take a look. To access the rendering module, we will first click on the external finishes module here in the module toolbar and select rendering. We have options for cement rendering, through color rendering, or Drydash rendering. Let's start with cement, and we can change our choices later on if we wish. And click Create to create the module. This opens the cement rendering module, and if we want to convert this to through color or Drydash, we can simply select this drop down here in the main stage and select cement rendering, through color, or Drydash. Let's start with cement. To begin with, we'll need to input the area to be covered. If we know the area in square meters already, we can simply input that here, say 25 square meters. Price a Job automatically tallies up the area based on certain default parameters, and by cycling through the options for through color and Drydash, we can see the price estimates as a quick comparison. And here is Drydash. So let's start with cement rendering. In determining the area to be covered, we can use the area calculator. Here we have a variety of options, including library, rooms, and add space. Allow me to pause just a moment so I can add to our library. There, I've just added a module called external walls to this quote. And now that I've done so, the measurements for these external walls have been added to our library. So if I select this, we can see the external walls I just added that give us the opportunity to reuse parameters from these other modules. Likewise, with rooms, if we've already set up our room measurements, we can simply select the room and then select the wall area to add that to our area calculator. To add space, we can click the Add button, and this opens a variety of shapes for us. So for example, we can select a square shape and set the height of the wall at 2.4 meters, and set the width at 10 meters, and save. And now we'll remove this other section that we saved from the rooms, and here is our shape that we added of the square wall. If we have 4 identical walls, we could change the quantity here to 4. If it's a rectangular room, we can change this quantity to 2, and then add another section for the longer walls. So here we'll select again the square space, set our height at 2.4 meters, and set the side walls at 12 meters, and save. And then we can set our quantity at 2. If we have any door openings that we need to deduct, we can simply click the Add button again, and this time we will add a 2.1 meter door at 0.9 meters wide, and save that. And we'll select the plus button here to convert this modifier to a minus. So now this door space is being removed from our total. This is minus 1.9. And if we have 3 doors, we can simply select that. And that increases the quantity of door openings to 3, subtracting this amount from our total area. Now if we have an irregularly shaped room, we can click the Add button, and perhaps there is a trapezoid, or a quadrilateral, or triangle, or circle, or semicircle that we need to add. Let's select a trapezoid, and let's say on this side our height is 2.4 meters for the standard height, and let's say it increases to 3.4 meters on this side. And let's say that the width of this is 10 meters. We can save that, increase our quantity to 2, and here we'll remove these 2 sections of walls here, and we will change this quantity to 1, and add 1 more square wall, this one at 3.4 meters tall by 10 meters wide. And now we have our irregular shaped room with 2 irregular walls, 1 back wall, 1 front wall, and 3 door openings, for a total area of 115 meters. When we're done with our calculations, we can click Save. And the calculated area is added to our main stage. If at any point we need to remind ourselves how we came by this calculation, we can simply click on the area calculator again, and it opens up the area calculator with all of our work saved. Next, we'll inform the system whether this is a new installation, a replacement, or a decorating only job. If it's a replacement, a new stage is added for preparation, and here we can select the Preparation Select box, and this gives us options to access the Price of Job library for preparation tasks, materials, and removal. So for example, let's take a look at preparation. Here we can select items such as fill holes and cracks, sand and fill, prepare for decoration, burn off paint, remove paint with chemicals, clean down with wire brush, wet cleaning, pressure wash, smooth walls, or smooth sealing. So for example, let's select fill holes and cracks. We'll say that there are 3 square meters of holes and cracks, and perhaps we need to pressure wash the walls as well. We'll just set this at 115 square meters. As we do so, the labor for this has been added automatically to our estimate. So fill holes and cracks has been assigned to a painter as the tradesperson. For 3 square meters, the price is estimated at £18. Pressure wash likewise has been assigned and the labor calculated. Next, we can assign any materials required for the preparation. And here we have a variety of categories to choose from, including sealants, fillers, building chemicals, gloss paints, metal paints, primers and undercoats, self-adhesive rolls, scrim tape, dust sheets, rendering beads, and drywall screws. So for this task, let's add a few dust sheets here. We'll select a polybacked and a cotton twill. And for this example, that'll suffice. Now these materials have been added also to our preparation stage here. Here's our dust sheets. And if we need to increase the quantity, we can do so just by changing this in the estimate here. So let's say 3 of these and 3 of these. And every time we make a change, the price is automatically updated instantly. Next, we'll access the library for removal of debris. Within this library, Price Job estimates how much debris will be removed for a variety of tasks. For example, under the wall finishes, we can remove plasterboard, plaster, cement rendering, porcelain tiles, cladding, wallpaper, or wall prep. We also have categories for ceiling finishes, concrete demolition, landscaping, plumbing and heating removal, roof, remove floor finishes, walls and chimneys, woodwork, and building and outbuildings. For this example, let's say that we'll be removing some cement rendering and prepping the walls. Here we can set the square area for the cement rendering to be removed. Let's say 72 square meters, and for wall prep, we'll say 115. As we've made our selections, Price of Job has automatically calculated the estimated disposal volume of debris and recommended the number and size of skips to be used to remove it. In this case, we have 2.9 cubic meters of debris, which will require 1 4-yard skip. If we anticipate needing a larger skip, we can simply select a larger skip from the drop-down list and round up the number of skips to the nearest whole number. And this is added to our estimate under the plant and tool category. Next, we'll take a look at the sand cement render. Here from this drop-down, we can select the thickness of the render that we'll be applying. We'll keep this at 15 millimeters. And by clicking the cog, we can select the cement-sand ratio. We have options for 1:1, 1:2, 1:3, 1:4, 1:6, or a custom mix, where we can input the cement and sand in kilograms per cubic meter. For this example, we'll just stick with the standard 1:4 mix. Next, we'll take a look at the mesh stage. Under certain circumstances where the wall finish is poor, for example block work or a very smooth surface, you may require a mesh. If you do not require a mesh, you can simply deselect this stage. But if so, select the mesh, and then choose whether you wish to use a metal lath or fiberglass mesh, and then select the drop-down menu and choose the type of mesh you wish to use. Next, we'll take a look at the Masonry Paint stage. Here we can select whether we'll be applying 1, 2, or 3 coats, and then from the drop-down menu, we can select the style of paint we wish to use. Under the cog settings, we can set the paint coverage in square meters per liter, and if we'll be using a stabilizer solution, we can also set its coverage in square meters per liter. A stabilizer works like a primer. If we won't be requiring any stabilizer, we can simply deselect. And if we scroll down in the estimate pane to see the masonry paint, we can see that as we select or deselect the stabilizer, that it is automatically added or removed from our stage. Likewise, it is also reflected here in the automatic description. If we select the stabilizer, it is added that we're adding 1 coat of stabilizing solution. Next, we'll take a look at the accessories stage. Here we have a library of beads and mesh. So we'll select this, and this opens the price of job library of accessories that may be required for a cement rendering job. For example, rendering beads, preparation, plaster beads, PVA building chemicals, tapes, filler, and drywall screws. For this example, let's select some rendering beads, perhaps an external bell cast bead, and some galvanized steel angle bead. And then we can set the quantities for these above. So we'll just increase this to 5, and for this one we'll just input this one as 3. And this is automatically added to our stage. Here, if we scroll down in the estimate pane, we can see the accessories stage has been added here with the bell cast bead and steel angle beads. In addition to the materials, PriceJob has automatically calculated the labor required to install these accessories and assigned it to a tradesperson, in this case, a plasterer. Now, if you need any extra materials that are not included in the accessories library, it's very simple to add. Simply click under the stage to add a new material, add new labor, new plant and tool, or other costs. For this example, we'll add a new material. And we can search from the library to see if the material already exists, for example, a brush. And if we don't see the material that we want to add, we can simply type it directly here within the estimate pane. We'll add here brush 3-inch and adjust the quantity. Perhaps we'll need 5 of these. And we can set the price at $5.45. And this material is automatically added to our calculation. If we decide afterwards that we no longer need this, we can simply click on the cog button and remove this item. For materials that are recommended by the system, if we decide we don't need those, we can click on the cog button and select visibility off. And this removes this item from the pricing, but does not delete it from the estimate. If we click visibility on, it adds it back into our pricing estimate. Next, let's take a look at the through color module. So here we'll go to our main stage, and rather than cement, we'll switch this module to through color. Through color rendering is generally a pre-made silicone and cement render mix, sold in bags, and is popular in the UK. Most commonly, it is manufactured by K-Rend and Weber. And you'll note that this keeps our previous settings like the preparation and accessories, but the irrelevant stages such as Masonry Paint have been removed. For this example, let's say rather than a replacement, that this is simply a new installation. So we'll select New Installation, and the preparation stage has been removed, both from the side pane as well as from our estimate. For the through color render, it's very similar as the cement render. Here we can select the thickness of our render, and then select the through color render type. Under the cog settings, we can set the render coverage in kilograms per square meter. PriceJob has automatically set this from the manufacturer's recommendations, so we'll leave this alone for now. Similar to the cement render, we can select either a fiberglass mesh or metal lath. Typically with through color, we'll be using a fiberglass mesh. And here we can select the mesh type. If we don't require a mesh, we can simply deselect the mesh and it's removed from our estimate. And again, note that as we make these changes, our description is automatically updated to reflect the details of our quote. Next, let's take a look at Drydash. And this is very similar as cement rendering, but with a layer of small pebbles or stones added to the surface. So again, we will select the thickness of our coverage. In this case, we might choose a bit thicker. We'll say 25 millimeters. And then we can choose our coverage. From the cog, here we can select our cement sand ratio and pebble coverage. And then we can select a mesh for this to help it adhere to the wall. We can select a metal lath or fiberglass mesh and choose the type we wish to use. And you can see that some dashing spars have been automatically added to our estimate here. And if we choose to change the type of dashing spar, we can select the drop-down menu here and select the various types from the menu. Lastly, we may have a situation where rather than installing a new installation or a replacement, we are doing decorating only. So for this, we can select decorating, and this removes all the stages for render and only adds the masonry paint and accessories. And again, here we can set how many coats of paint we wish to choose, select the style of paint, click the cog to adjust our coverages and whether we'll be using stabilizer or not, and select any extra accessories that we may require to do the decoration. Let's convert this back to a new installation for the Drydash. And let's say that perhaps we have two separate sections to do, perhaps a main building and an attached garage. So to do that, what we'll do is we'll change the title here to Drydash main building. And now we can go to the side here and either duplicate this module or just add a new one, and we'll select Drydash. And we can use the area calculator to calculate the area of the walls for our garage, but for this example I'll just make it quick and just put in 48 square meters. And this will be a new installation using Drydash, metal lathe, and we've already added our accessories in another module, so we'll rename this one to garage. And now we have two modules added, one Drydash for main building and Drydash for garage, and the costs tallied for each of those. Now when we go to our reports tab to take a look at our quote, we can see under the finishes section that we have rendering modules set up for the main building here at 115 square meters and the garage at 48 square meters, with all of our materials and labor itemized below. If we choose to show less detail, we can remove some of the subtotals here. For example, we can remove the subtotals for material, labor, plant and tool, and other costs by reverting this to the subtotals only. Then the subtotals will be shown for each of the category headings here and here. If we choose to remove these as well, we can click the subtotals tab here to show only the main pricing, and only the pricing will be shown at the bottom for the grand total. Here we still have shown the breakdown of pricing for all the various materials and labor, and we can hide either the materials or labor by deselecting those under the advanced settings. If we prefer just to have a simple quote, we can click Simple, and it just gives our description with the grand total. If we wish to provide a table of quantities, we can select Advanced and remove all pricing to show the breakdown of materials and labor with all of the quantities indicated and the grand total represented at the bottom. It's important to note that all of our materials and labor and plant and tool and other costs do include our profit markup, and we can adjust that here with this cog icon in the lower left. By selecting this, we can see that our profits are set at 20% for each of these, and we can slide that up as we require or just input 20%. And as we make these changes, you'll notice that in the background our grand total price is also adjusting. So here, as we increase the profit margin on our materials, so is the grand total of our estimate. Same thing with labor, and we don't have any plant and tool on this estimate, so that won't be affected. If we prefer to hide our profit from the quote, we can deselect profit here, but this is usually not recommended, unless you just need the quote for your own internal accounting. So here we will add the profit to show our client, make sure all of our profit settings are set to the 20% that we wish to charge, and it's also important to set whether we are VAT registered or not. In this case, yes, we are. And once we're done, we can close this window, and now we can either print this quote, we can export it as a PDF, we can export it as a Word document, or email it directly to the client from within Price a Job. And that's how to use the cement rendering module. Thank you for using Price a Job.